It is your boy, the Mulatto Ronin, back on at it again with another banger and fire video for y'all's out there today. They're y'all. Welcome on back to the channel. But guys, your boy gotta go in on this particular topic. But I gotta talk about the top 3 people that should never be out here race mixing. If you want to get out there and swirl, there's nothing wrong out there with race mixing whatsoever. But you have to do it correctly, man, because y'all motherfuckers is really fucking up the image of people like me. Like in America, first of all, we all people like me already get a bad rap already. They already tell us, oh, you're confused, you're a risk to everybody. Like that's how the average American see people like me, And in fact, I'm working right now in terms of getting into like hopefully in like out there in legislation, politicians, senators, people out there in higher ups who can really get us a class, in terms of people, because the mulattoes actually did have their own class, the mixed race, Afro type people. But I don't want just the mulatto class to come back. I want us to actually all be combined with the like other groups as well. So we got not just the mulattoes, if you case you don't know what that is, between African and European descent, but also you got other mixes as well. So you got African and we got a lot of passport broing out there. So motherfuckers coming back, they got the African mixed with the Thai. So the Blasians, you got the Afro, and you got the Black Americans and the Mexicans. You got that mix. So it's a lot of different mixes out there, and at the end of the day, we all go through a similar type of experience through America. So we do fall into that category. The only difference is like our parents are just different. Like me, I'm multi-generational, MGM. So I'm not a first generation mulatto, like compared to other people. So a first generation mulatto, black parent, white parent, somebody like me, MGM, multi-generational, I just have a higher percentage of European mix in me, but I do have mulatto, type parents, so yeah, mixed race. But one of them is a bit darker, not darker skin, but definitely, a bit darker, but you can definitely see the mix, that's my dad. Now my mom, she's definitely mulatto, so, and that's how I came out, so I'm multi-generational mix. But in general, you're still gonna have a very similar experience, So with that said, like I'm just trying to get us a class here in America similar to South Africa and how they got shit all set up over there. That way there's proper identity, because like if something don't change in terms of identity, we're never gonna be seen as like like a good idea in terms of like people just going out and go race mixing and really taking that shit seriously, because they're going to see a lot of confusion. And let's be honest, a lot of white people are very, very clueless in terms of how the black community and their a lot of their dynamics and how they work. It can be very confusing for a lot of different groups out there. So yeah, there needs to be proper representation. So yeah, until that change, that's really when our image is really going to be on point. But like I said, I'm working on getting our class here in America. Hopefully that gets happening, in the future. So, hey, reaching out to a lot of people. If y'all know any senators or people higher up, definitely shoot their emails or whatever below, or whatever you can, because I'm trying to get us a class here in America, because we had it before that shit got erased, but we finna bring that motherfucker back. But anyway, so guys, the top 3 people that should never be out here swirling. Now, coming in at number 3, guys, I gotta talk about the people that be out there on some fetish type shit. So if you're coming at this with just a fetish idea of like you just want these mixed children, and you want them to look a certain type of way, and everything, and I'm just sitting back and I'm just like, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like nigga, this is not Build-A-Bear. Like the fuck you think we is? Like you think you're just gonna bust out some children and they're gonna come out this particular way? No. In fact, I hope your child comes out ugly as fuck, for thinking that. That should be your punishment. But you need to have a realistic, like literally realistic expectation for your child. First thing first, like this is not a normal child. He's not going to fit in, like that. So what you need to do, you need to tell them, hey, first of all, put them around a very diverse environment. That's the first thing. And then on top of that, make sure that this child is fit, like really make sure they go above and beyond in all areas of life so they can really have the best shot out here, and teach them to move around, travel, go where they're best treated best. Me personally, if you're going to raise a mixed race mulatto out here in America, I wouldn't even fuck with the East Coast. I would go more like, I would say mountain, like mountain areas, like Colorado. Colorado is perfect for us. West Coast, Las Vegas, California and stuff like that. Those areas are pretty good. Stick to more Western areas, but East Coast, you'll still do okay. But listen, man, it ain't the best environment. Nah, you gonna go through it over there. I'm from Florida, trust me, I know. But yeah, like, do not come at this with a fetish type of way of just doing things. Like I said, this is not Build-A-Bear. This is not build your mulatto. No, like, we're people out here. So you need to have a very realistic expectation. Understand your child may come out almost as dark as, like, let's say if you're a white woman, you go get yourself a dark skinned black man. Your child may happen to come out almost just as dark as, the father, depending on the genes. So there are darker skinned mulattoes out there as well, so keep that in mind. But my particular look, yeah, it's common, but at the same time, like, don't expect that. And me, on top of that, I got freckles. Your child may not have freckles. You may want your child with freckles. Like, you just can't control these things, and yeah, it's just a lot of stuff that goes with it. And in terms of curly hair, a lot of y'all jump into this and be like, oh, I want these mixed children, I want them to have nice curly hair. That's mainly black people be on that type of shit. But it's just like, I mean, like, I get it. Listen, man, like, we are some good looking people. Like, when we take care of ourselves, I'm not gonna lie, we are some good looking people. But don't come at it from that particular lens, because you're setting yourself up for failure. You need to really get to know both people's cultures. That's 100%. You need to really do that. Black people, white people, get to know the dynamics of the black community. If you're a white person, no, not all black is black. Do not believe that shit. Fuck what everybody say about that. Listen, I'm racially ambiguous, mulatto type of person. I'm telling you this shit right now. Not all black is black. Because listen, in the black community, the light skin, especially if you have a son, you need to really ingrain in him. Which leads to me, actually, you know what? Which leads me to number 2. So coming in at number 2, I got to talk about identity. Let these children be who they are. These children are not black. They're not white. I don't care if they come out more white passing. I don't care if they come out more black passing. Do not call these kids black. Do not call these kids white. They are mixed race. They are mulattoes out here. Or if they're black and Asian, yeah, they're Blasian, but they're mixed. They're Afro mixed people. And honestly, like I said, I can't remember if I said this earlier, but, I call us the golden people, because that's what we are, like, we got like a golden type of, phenotype, we really glow low key. Not to toot our own horns, but it's the truth, like, we really are some stunning people, no pun intended. But yeah, like, let's make sure that you ingrain their identity into them, because, like, guys, like, if you're not going to be that type of parent that's going to really tell them who they are, and you're just going to be like, oh, you're black. Oh, no, you're white. No, do not be that type of parent. Absolutely not. Because now that child is going to grow up confused. And listen, that's how I felt at first. When I heard the term mulatto, I was like, I'm not mulatto, I'm black. And growing up, I really didn't know who I was, like, fully until I did my research on the history of America, like, really knew it, and found out that people like me had our own class in America, but they stripped it away and erased it due to the one drop rule. Really fucked me over, so, once I learned that was when I was like, oh, I see the dynamics and why certain things are the way they are. I see why dark-skinned blacks at times will look at the light skin and be jealous and start hating. I see why the whites was look at us and be feeling some type of way as well, so I do understand the dynamics due to the history, but at the same time, there needs to be really proper education, and you need to really let these kids know who they are up front. There's a lot of history about us worldwide, and honestly, it's crazy because in America, like, we're just so behind in terms of, how we should move and how, just the basic things we should know about people. Especially like between the main ones that's popping in America, the blacks and the whites, like literally like how do y'all not like adapt to all this? But tell these kids, listen, man, you're mixed. And I don't care what your teachers say. Like, listen, like if people say you're black, no. Yo, you're a mix. All right. You're mulatto. Like that needs to really, really be ingrained into these types of children. Because if they don't know who they are and they claim black and then they grow up and they do find out who they are, they may feel some type of way and start to resent either both sides, both races, both their parents, and and look at everybody differently now because it's like, damn, man, like I got duped most of my life. And unfortunately, that's really the reality for a lot of us until we get older. And a lot of people like to call us dumb, and all that shit, for thinking that we're this. But like, listen, man, this is what society has done. Like we had our own class, like, but people erased that, like historically. So that's not our fault, for thinking that, we're technically black and everything, which no, we're not. That's why we're not fully accepted and, really in our own lane in society. And that's okay. But listen, to all the black people out there, if anybody's going to go to bat for the black community, it's going to be us. So I do want to make that clear as well, because a lot of people think, oh, you're detaching from the black community. Oh, you think you're better than everybody. No, I don't think that whatsoever. I just know I'm in my own particular lane, as a mixed multicultural, individual out here. So that's very, very important, that these kids know their identity. So that's number 2. Do not be a parent that's going to force, like literally just try to force an identity and tell them, oh, you're black, like, yeah, like, no, like, now get that shit out your head. They're mulatto, they're mixed race, and that's that. They need to know who they are, and they need to really own up to it when they go to school and let them stand up for themselves. Teach them to stand up for themselves. Very, very important out here. Now, number 2 is out the way. Coming in at number 1, it is very, very important that you as a parent, you need to be, if you're going to have these kids, you need to really be a top tier person to have these kids. You need to be physically in decent shape, in my opinion, because this child is a minority within a minority. So you need to make sure this child can look at his parents and be like, oh, my parents are fit. They're healthy. They're mentally tough. They're mentally strong. That's going to raise this child to be mentally tough and mentally strong. Keep in mind, he's a minority within a minority, or she's a minority within a minority. So these kids need to be very, very strong, especially here in America, because depending on where you are, these kids, they may go through it pretty rough depending on where they're at. If anybody's the most hated group here in America, it's definitely us, because, yeah, we're a bit of a wild card, 100%, Like I said, guys, well, not in this video, but in other videos, being a racially mulatto type of person, you're like the Indominus Rex here in America. It's like you're seen as like the biggest threat walking around. You got all these neat abilities and all this shit. It just don't set right with people. You know how to read the room and all that, and you just got certain abilities that most people just can't seem to grasp. And we move in such a different way that really, for some odd reason, just don't set right with people. I'm like, no, we just really, like, we got to keep in mind, we're a very authentic group of people. We can't just align with just tomfoolery. Unfortunately, the average American is dumb as a rock and very chaotic. We don't really want to be around that. Some of them do. That's not most of that. Like, guys, it's not the majority of us. But yes, you got to be in good physical shape as a parent. If you're fat as hell and you're going to raise one of these kids, you are shooting yourself in the foot. So yeah, you got to be mentally strong, physically strong, both the man and the woman, so if you are going to have these children, got to have that shit on point. And another thing too, to go along with this, I would also say, try to have these kids at a higher economic financial state, because if you have these kids broke, man, they're gonna have to work really, really tough, man. They're gonna have to work hard out here to really get themselves ahead. So it's better to have these kids when you're really good financially and make sure that they got a good solid future for them. Or if you're like a really high earner, that's when I would say to try to have these children. You can have them at any stage you want, but ideally a higher economic status is really the best, because keep in mind they're a minority within a minority. So like you want to really put them in a good space where, okay, cool, they're at least they're at a level where like they're gonna have financial support to really accomplish their dreams. Because like, guys, we're very creative people, we got a lot of talent. It's just the issue, there's a lot of confusion in terms of identity and in terms of really trying to find who can really work with us and really getting people that really understand us. That's the tough part in terms of these children. So like, guys, these kids are awesome. You can really take these kids really far. They can like guys, these kids can be very, very sharp, and honestly like the most underrated people here in America. But a lot of people, they don't seem to see that, and it's up to us, guys, to really change that. I really want to see the next generation of mixed race mulattoes and, different other mixes out there as well, really going as far as possible, because, we're seeing a lot more race mixing. I just want to see it done right. I just want to see, if you are going to do it, you got to have a strong mindset and a strong family. And just know, like, these kids are in their own particular lane and you need to ingrain that into them. But, do not be one of these top 3 parents that are just not caring. Don't be fat and out of shape as a parent. Don't be broke as a parent. Well, if you are broke and you get a rich, woman, okay, that's different. If you're a man or a woman, okay, you get a rich person, you're broke, okay, different. But in general, try to have your shit together. So financially, try to be good. Be in decent physical shape. Learn what type of locations that are really best suited for these kids. And don't be a person coming at it from a fetish type of perspective. If you can accomplish those 3 things, you're going to be doing very, very well in terms of raising these particular children, in my personal opinion. And that's really all I got to say. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree, disagree? I want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section. And also, if you need any help in terms of information, how do you properly go about and raising these kids, reach out to me. If I haven't put my email up there earlier, and it's also in the link below, so you guys can reach out to me. But it is your boy, the Mulatto Ronin. Like and subscribe, share. Y'all take it easy.